Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So we have understood that this universe doesn't have a beginning or an end, and it is a continuous cycle from Satyug to Kalyug, and then back to Satyug, and from there on again it starts, right? So wait a second. Hanji. So today we will understand about how God comes and gives us this knowledge. Now, the first thing is, in Satyug, can you visualize how you would be in Satyug? Some idea. We talked about egolessness, we talked about being detached, and then on the external level it is said, in Satyug we will have Kanchan Kaya. So our bodies would be as if they are made of gold. So they wouldn't be made of gold, they would be made of the 5 elements, but then they would have the purity or the shine or the radiance like gold. So that is called Kanchan Kaya. Now, when we talk about Devlok, Satyug, where everybody is a Devi and Devta, so there must be one Vishwa Maharajan and one Vishwa Maharani also there, right? So it is a hierarchy, and then there is a Vishwa Maharajan, which is Shri Narayan. So when we talk of Satyug, so Satyug के जो पहले राजा रानी होते हैं, जो विश्व महाराजन विश्व महारानी होते हैं, they are Shri Lakshmi and Shri Narayan. So when we depict Shri Lakshmi Narayan in the world, we show them in this big ocean, and with snakes, a snake protecting his head, and then he being seated on the snake. So that is a symbol of the Vishnu being victorious over the 5 vices. So that is a Panchmukhi snake which we show. So when you become the ruler of the 5 vices, then you are shown in that land. So Satyug actually is the land of Devis and Devtas, and in that land the first ruler is Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayan. So now, just like you are in your ordinary form today, Sri Narayan also must be in his ordinary form. Yes, so we have all traveled this journey, and today we are all in our ordinary forms. So Sri Narayan also is in his ordinary form. And just like God knows that you are you, yes, you don't know who you are. Did you know? Did you know you are a Devi Devta before coming to this session? No. So, but God knew, so He selected you, and that's why you had the impulse to come and attend this, or you connected with whatever is being said. So just like you are an erstwhile Devi or Devta who is in ordinary form today, similarly there is Sri Narayan also in his ordinary form. And just like we took that example of we recognizing the CD by the cover. Yes, because we don't have any other discernment about what the CD contains, so we recognize it by the cover. Now I know who you are, I know you are you, because I identify with you with the body. But then God doesn't identify with the body, He knows who you are based on your vibration. Yes, so he just knows which one is which one. So we have forgotten our births, and that is why in Gita there is this thing written that तुम अपने जन्मों को नहीं जानते, मैं तुम्हें तुम्हारे जन्मों के बारे में आकर बताता हूँ. So when Shiv Baba comes, he tells us about who we are, and we are oblivious to who we are before God comes to this earth. So, but he is the one who knows who is who despite we being in ordinary form today. So just like you were a Devi Devta and today you are in ordinary form, so Narayan is also in ordinary form, and that form is this figure which you see behind me, the form of Brahma Baba. So this person that you see in the picture behind me, we call him Brahma Baba. And why do we call him Brahma Baba? We will understand. So his name is Dada Lekhraj, was Dada Lekhraj, because he left the body in 1969. So his name was Dada Lekhraj, and he was a jeweler in Sindh, Hyderabad, which is now in Pakistan. And I'm talking of a time which is in near about 1936. And near about 1936, when this was undivided India, then Dada Lekhraj was there in Sindh, Hyderabad, which is now in Pakistan after division. So there, this Dada Lekhraj was a jeweler, and he was a jeweler who was well known across the world, and there were many famous people who were his clients, and he was well known in the circles of the elite, and he was a well-to-do person, and he was a very big jeweler. But the thing is, he was not a jeweler by inheritance. He was a jeweler because he worked for it, and his father was a school teacher, and it is through his efforts that he had come to this place of being a jeweler, and that to a reputed jeweler in his own right. Now this Dada Lekhraj was a spiritual minded person, or rather a religious minded person, and he had had 12 gurus in his life. He was a vegetarian, he was conducting his life in an ordinary way, nevertheless with discipline, with poise, with grace. And then God entered him. So when I say God entered him, what do I mean by that? So you see, you have had the introduction of Shiv Baba, and Shiv Baba is the ocean of knowledge, ocean of purity, and he stays in the soul world. Now the thing is, we are all suffering here down on earth. Why? Because of lack of knowledge, right? We do not know who we are, we do not know what our reality is, and that is why in body consciousness we have framed belief systems which are making us suffer. Now Baba knows when he is in Parandham that this is the reason why these people are suffering. So now he has to give that knowledge to us, and then he has to give his love, he has to give his purity, he has to give his power. Now how do you think he can give that? He cannot give that by some Akashvani or clouds making noise, and then or some animal talking. That is not the way God would speak, because we listen from the ears and we understand a certain language, and we don't understand if God talks in signs or comes in the dream. How about God coming and telling you in your dream that you are a soul, and from today onwards you be soul conscious? Will you be soul conscious from tomorrow? If God came in your dream and he said that you are suffering because you are body conscious, and from tomorrow you become soul conscious, will you listen to him and immediately become soul conscious? Is that possible? No, because It requires reminders and repetitions and understanding, and then we get again complicated, and then again God has to answer it. So it is like very similar to what you understand about the Gita. So just like, in when Gita Gyan, when we read the scripture called Gita, and then we saw that Arjun kept asking questions and God kept answering his questions until he came to a place of Nashto Moha Smriti Swarup, which means he came to realize who he is actually, and all his beliefs about who he is got destroyed. So that is what you mean by Nashto Moha Smriti Swarup. So why do you think Arjun would be the only privileged one who would get to listen to God, and God would answer all his questions, and he would never come and meet us and never answer our questions? Do you think we are less deserving than Arjun? Have you ever thought about God coming and answering all your questions? Yes, we have thought about it, that if God can come and talk to Arjun and answer his questions, why can't he come and answer my questions? So Arjun was shown as a symbol in Gita, but actually this story applies to each one of us, and each of us is a deserving, beloved child of God. And so Shiv Baba comes for each one. Yes, and just like when you read the Gita, you understand that Gita Gyan, that Gyan which makes you Nashto Moha Smriti Swarup, was given on the battlefield. So now you see, you will never find a time in your life when you will not have your family or your work or other things going on in your life, and you will just listen to Gyan. That kind of a privilege is not available to any one of us. So this Gita Gyan is given on the battlefield. So are you on the battlefield? Yes, so when you say Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra literally means Karam Kshetra. Okay, so the literal meaning of Kurukshetra is Karam Kshetra. So we are all on the Kurukshetra, and Shiv Baba, when you say God comes and gives knowledge, God cannot have a body, because if he has a body, he will have a gender, he will have a caste, he will have a religion, then God cannot be one, right? So God, who is bodiless, comes and enters a body and speaks. Now he needs a vehicle to speak. If he doesn't have a vehicle, he cannot speak, because we listen through the ears. Our six senses are not that developed that if God threw messages from the Paramdham, we would receive it, right? Our receivers are all distorted. So we need God to come and speak to us in a concrete way. And what God does is he enters this body, which is Brahma Baba's body or Dada Lekhrad's body. Now you see, when we talk about God in the Bhakti cult, then we talk about God being the generator, operator and destroyer. है ना? तो वी से ब्रह्मा के द्वारा स्थापना, विष्णु के द्वारा पालना और शंकर के द्वारा विनाश. Now you understand that there is no sthapna, palna and vinash of the world, because the world continues to be a continuous phenomena and it is eternal. So when we talk of sthapna, it is actually sthapna of Satyug from Kalyug. Right? When we talk of Palna, it is Palna of Satyug. That is why when we talk of Sthapna, then God has to come into Kalyug and then establish Satyugi consciousness, which will lead to Satyug. And then when we talk about Palna, then you need Vishnu, or Vishnu, which is the symbolic representation of the combined form of Lakshmi and Narayan. Okay, that's why there are four hands, because nobody would have four hands in real life, because if you had four hands you would not be called a deity, you would be called dilapidated. Okay, so there is something wrong if you have four hands, you can't operate properly with four hands. So it's not about one person having four hands, it's a symbolic representation of Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayan in their combined form, and that is Vishnu ka Chitra. So when we talk of Sthapna, it is Sthapna of Satyug in Kalyug, and then we talk of Palna, it is Palna of Satyug, which is done by Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayan, because they are the rulers in Satyug in the beginning, and then all of us are deities. And then when we talk of Vinash, it is actually Vinash of Kalyug, right? So this is God's work. Now it has always been said कि ब्रह्मा के द्वारा स्थापना होती है. So Brahma, the term Brahma comes whenever the word Sthapana comes. Now one has to think about it, why all the deity figures that you see in Hindu religion have faces and figures and bodies that look young and beautiful and energetic. Yes, and only Brahma has this old worn out body and this white gray hair and then gray mustache, and then he has a gray beard. So then why is it that Brahma is shown to be old and Brahma is shown to have scriptures in his hand, whereas everybody else is shown other alankars? Like there would be a lotus flower, there would be a trident, there would be a sword, there would be a kamal pushp. But Brahma is shown with scriptures in his hand, and no other Devi Devta is shown scriptures in his hand apart from Brahma Saraswati, because Saraswati is also shown with Brahma. So now this is why we need to understand that the role of Brahma is in Kali Yuga. It's not Satyugi, because when we talk of Sthapana, then सत्युग की स्थापना होनी है, एंड वो कब होगी? कलयुग में होगी, क्योंकि कलयुग से सत्युग बनना है, राइट? नाउ इफ यू हैव रेड द शिव महापुराण, so in the Shiv Mahapuran, the Shiv Mahapuran is written in the first person, मैं. So it is like written as if Lord Shiva, God Shiva is saying मैं. So in Shiv Mahapuran it is written that मैं ब्रह्मा को सृष्टि के रचना की जिम्मेवारी सौंपता हूँ, और जब वो इस कार्य में असमर्थ रहते हैं तो स्वयं उसके ललाट में, विच इज़ दिस पोर्शन, प्रवेश कर नई सृष्टि का निर्माण करता हूँ. So these are the words mentioned in Shiv Mahapuran, and it indicates that Brahma is entrusted with this task of creation of a new age by Shiv Baba, and then Shiv Baba does that creation by entering the lalat, or where the soul sits, so God also enters and sits beside it. Now you have to understand why God needs to sit beside that soul, because as I told you that whenever you listen to something, you cannot learn something new. You are that which you already know emerges from within you, right? So God has to work in communion with somebody who has all this knowledge or who has all this memory, right? So only when he combines with or he takes the help of the first one will whatever he says make sense. Because if he takes the help of somebody who came later, then if he talks about the creation of Satyug, then it would make sense to that person. And that person wouldn't participate in the task of creation. So God has to take the help, or God has to join, or God has to take together that one who is the first one in the Satyugi Srishti. And that is why you see you have these temples where it is shown Brahma की नाभि से विष्णु निकल रहे हैं and विष्णु की नाभि से ब्रह्मा निकल रहे हैं. Because basically the one who is Sri Narayan in the first birth depletes himself and comes to an old form in the last birth, and that is the one who God enters, teaches, reforms and makes him go back to the first one. Okay, and similarly whatever he does to that first one is shared with everyone else, and we also go back to our previous form. Are you with me up till now? Does it make sense? Yes, please. So do you get it? Because see, when you are talking about spiritual matters, you have to apply a lot of imagination, and you have to get it inside your buddhi, because there is no way I can show all this to you, right? So just like you traveled a journey and now you are in your ordinary form, similarly the one who was with you in the first birth, Sri Narayan, is also in his ordinary form, and that ordinary form is this one. Okay, and when God has to come and talk to each one of us, he has to take his body, because whatever he speaks from his mouth will make complete sense to this one, and that is why he will do that task physically which he wants us to do, right? So now so when we talk about Brahma Baba, so this Dada Lekhraj, who was a God-loving, a religious person in his life, he was disciplined, he was a jeweler. So God enters him. So what do I mean by God enters him? You see, I'm sitting here, right? I'm a soul, I'm sitting here, and I'm talking to you through the mouth, and you are sitting there and listening through your ears, correct? This is what's going on. Now, when I'm talking, who is creating the thought? I, the soul. Yes, I, the soul, am thinking based on what's contained inside me. And when I'm thinking and then I'm speaking, so I already know what I'm talking, because I think first and then speak, so I already know what I'm talking. So I don't have to listen to what I'm talking, right? Although I can hear what I'm talking, but I don't need to keep correcting and listening whether I'm talking right or not. I will tell you one incident. I once heard a TED talk by a girl, and she said that she had this defect of lisping. Lisp, you have a certain dent and you don't speak correctly or pronounce correctly. And then she said that everybody else could hear that she's lisping, but she couldn't get it. She didn't know that she's lisping. Why? Because she is thinking first and then speaking. So in her mind, whatever she is speaking is okay, right? So how it comes from the mouth, she is not paying attention. So when she came to this realization that she has a lisp, so she paid attention to herself speaking, which is she started hearing what she is speaking and then started correcting herself. And then she had to correct it in her mind that how do I change it so it sounds correct. So you get it. So we are hearing through this body, we are speaking through this mouth, and I am the soul doing these two things together. So I don't need to cross check, because mostly what I say is what I speak, what I think is what I speak. And then when I speak that, automatically that is what comes to my ears, so I don't need to cross check. But when you are hearing what I am talking, you have to hear with attention, because you don't know what is in my mind. So when you hear it, then you take it to your mind and then you process it and get a meaning out of it, right? This is the communication that's going on now. If suppose another soul came and sat with me. So there are two souls in this body. Now, soul A and soul B. So soul A is the owner of this body and soul B is the guest. Now soul B thinks, soul B uses this mouth to speak, and soul A uses the ear to hear and then processes what soul B taught. Okay, so this is how two souls engage in a conversation from within the body. And this is precisely what was told to you when you read the Gita. Because in the Gita it is written that there was one Rath. Now what is Rath? So I told you that when somebody dies, you call it Arathi. Why is that Arathi? Because the Rath is the body and the Rathi is the Atma. So when the Atma leaves, there is a Rath devoid of the Rathi. So that's why it is called Arathi. So when we say Rath, it means the body. And in the Gita it is said Rath Arjun ka tha. Arjun means Arjan karne wala, the one who is destined to imbibe whatever the gyan is. Because not everybody is Arjun, not everybody will understand what God is saying, because not everybody was there. So there is one soul who will exactly get what Baba is saying, because that soul was in Satyug from the first birth to the last birth. So whatever Baba will say will make complete sense to that soul. So that soul is called the Arjun. And Rath kiska tha? Arjun ka tha. So this body belonged to this person who was Dada Lekhraj. And then it is shown that the body had 5 horses. Okay, so the Rath had 5 horses. So 5 horses are the 5 senses. And then it is said that Arjun handed over the reins of his Rath to God. And he said, Aap Sarathi bano. So Brahma Baba allowed Shiv Baba to use his body to give the Gita Gyan. And then what they talked with each other, the conversation that internally happened, is the Gita Gyan. And what is Gita Gyan? Gita Gyan is the Gyan which is said कि इस ज्ञान से अनेक धर्मों का विनाश और एक सत धर्म की स्थापना होती है ना. नाउ अगर मैं आपको पूछूं अनेक धर्म आज क्या है, व्हाट इज योर रिलीजन? आर यू अ हिंदू? So I once had this talk with somebody and I said, if you are a Hindu, do you do everything as the Ramayana says or the Gita says? So you are not doing things according to the scriptures of Hinduism. So when you say I am a Hindu, all it means is you go to the temple. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't make you anything. So when we say dharam, तो अनेक धर्म, so if I ask myself मेरा धर्म क्या है? Now what is dharam? Dharam is whatever guides my karma. So the principles which guide, which decide, which dictate what karma I will engage in is my dharam. And if you look closely, your dharam is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar today. Because whenever we do something, we don't think about the Gita or the Ramayana, we think about whether मेरा profit होगा, whether मेरी ego boost होगी, whether मेरे किसी अपने को profit होगा, है ना? So these are the things that guide our pursuits today or our decisions today. So when it is said अनेक धर्मों का विनाश and एक सत धर्म की स्थापना, it basically means Baba comes and liberates us from all other consciousness which guide our actions or which influence our actions, and brings us to a place where you start understanding that I am a pure, peaceful, loveful, blissful soul. And that is the energy which should flow into every action. So I should not be guided by anything else but the fact of who am I. So this is अनेक धर्मों का विनाश and एक सत धर्म की स्थापना. And जब अनेक धर्मों का विनाश, एक सत धर्म की स्थापना आ जाएगी, तो फिर क्या होगा? सतयुग आएगा ना. When all other aberrations get destroyed and only one religion, which is the religion of purity and peace, remains, then it should be Satyug. Then ideally the time for God to come and to give Gita Gyan is not Dwapar Yug, it is Kali Yug end, because that is the time after which Satyug can arrive. And if God came in Dwapar Yug, then why did Kali Yug come after Dwapar Yug? So basically, the Gita that was written in Dwapar Yug was written out of the memory of what is happening right now. Right? So that was, and do you know that in Gita it is mentioned that गीता लिखी पहले गई और हुई बाद में. सो दे से व्यासदेव जी ने गीता से पहले लिख दी. नाउ द थिंग इज द होल पर्पस वाज टू गिव ज्ञान. सो वुड श्री कृष्णा कम आफ्टर गीता इज रिटन? So basically all that didn't happen. Shri Krishna was a Satyugi prince and he came and then he became Narayan. But later on, when we reached Dwapar Yuga, when we fell down, we jumbled up everything. We jumbled up this war, we jumbled up the Satyugi state of Shri Krishna, Shri Narayan, and then we mixed up everything and we created these literatures out of memory. And if you see, it is also mentioned in the writing of Gita that Gita was written through inspiration, and it is said that Shri Ganesh and then he kept saying, and then Vedvyas ji kept writing. So basically it was written from memory. So when it was written from memory, a lot of symbolism crept in. And that is why we couldn't understand that actually the 5 Pandavas are not people and 100 Kauravas are not people. It is 5 virtues vis-a-vis 100 vices. And then God comes and God teaches us how to empower the virtues and win over the vices. So this is the time when Shiv Baba has come. He has entered Brahma Baba's body and he has given all the Gita Gyan. That Gita Gyan which enables you to rise above your vices. That Gita Gyan which enables you to destroy moha, Moha means your identification with everything that is destructible and changeable. Yes, so this is what we are learning since 18 days, and probably today is the 18th day, right? So you have 19th day. So no, I think yes, so 19th day. So 19th day you are getting the Gita Gyan and the Sar that how to destroy all your attachments and come to this place of soul consciousness. So this is how Baba talks. Paramatma comes and he speaks from the mouth of Brahma Baba, but he says this Gyan is not just for Brahma Baba, it is for every soul who is a child of Shiv Baba. And you have to understand that Shiv Baba has left his Paramdham and come for you, and he is talking to you and asking you, requesting you to leave body consciousness, connect with him, relate with him in all relations. Fill your apron of the buddhi with knowledge, virtues, powers, and go back to your original state. And then when we go back to Satyug, then in Satyug we will be in our divine form, and then Brahma Baba would be Sri Narayan, and we would all have a happy and contented life in Satyug. So this is about how the Gyan was given, and what we are discussing in these classes has been derived from what Baba said. Okay, so when Shiv Baba entered Brahma Baba's body in 1936, he took the help of that body, and that ocean of knowledge kept sharing whatever was there in his buddhi. And that sharing is documented, or that was written down by students, and those writings are called the Murlis. So you must have sometime come across this concept of Murli by Brahma Kumaris. So now what is Murli? Murli is the direct Vani of Shiv Baba. So whatever Shiv Baba spoke through Brahma's mouth has been totally written down in the Murli. So Murlis are those pages which were written down when Shiv Baba was talking. Now, what we are understanding now has been derived from those Murlis and put in a structure so that you get a skeletal framework before you start reading what Shiv Baba said in details. Right? So, I will send you links to the Murli every day, and I record that Murli on YouTube every day, so you can listen to those Murlis every day with explanation, and then you will understand what Shiv Baba is trying to tell you for that day. And I will share my personal experience. Since Shiv Baba is my everything, my mother, father, teacher, teacher, brother, sister, everything, and since Shiv Baba is Trikaldarshi, so if you listen to the Murli really attentively, and you listen to it as if Shiv Baba is trying to give you certain signs about the day, then you will come to know what you need to be equipped with so that you go through the day in a successful manner. And what successful manner means is you don't lose heart, you don't get upset, you don't get unhappy, you don't feel betrayed. So if you listen to the Murli with attention every day, then that Murli works like a horoscope for what you need to do during the day. People will give you horoscopes about what will happen with you during the day. But Baba gives you a horoscope about what you need to do during the day. And when you take care of what you need to do during the day, then you need not care about what happens to you during the day. Yes? And when you listen to the Murli every day, you will come up with the practices and the directions that Shiv Baba is giving you, so that you can take yourself to the next level and renew yourself every day. And whatever is written in the Murli is called Shrimat. Why Shrimat? Because Shrimat is whatever makes you Shresht. So, there is a lot of things that people tell you in the world, and they tell you that is Gyan, but that is actually Agyan. Okay, so what is the difference between Gyan and Agyan? What is the difference between Gyan and Agyan?
Gyan will always guide us and make us feel more peaceful and happy and powerful.
Yes.
While Agyan can also, we cannot say misguide us, but maybe it can distract us from our main purpose.
Yes. So, very good. And a simple example of Gyan and Agyan is, somebody sent a story to me one day, and that story said that a woman took a python as a pet, and that python and the woman slept together every day. And then the woman felt as if the python was cuddling her and the pet was loving her, but then actually the python was just measuring how tall she has become, so that he could get himself ready to eat her up whole, right? And then in that message, somebody said, so there was a paragraph written underneath it, and that paragraph said that you should be aware of pythons in your life. So there are people who look like your friend. So then I wrote to that person that kindly do not send me these messages. So then that person said that why, this is knowledge and this is something one should remember when you have to operate in life. Then I said, no, my attention and my energy is not about detecting pythons and going about labeling people according to whether this is a python or this is a dog or this is a cat. I have the ability to look at everybody respectfully and lovefully, and that is what I'm supposed to do. So, sometimes whatever is served as Gyan is not Gyan, because it is making you judgmental, it is making you label other people, it is making you pessimistic about the state of the world, it is making you hopeless. So these kinds of things are not Gyan. So if you meet somebody and tell them आजकल दुनिया बहुत खराब है, everybody is cheating on everybody, so that is not a very good piece of information you need to give people. So this is not Gyan, right? So Baba says that any piece of knowledge, if it is knowledge and if it has the qualification to be called knowledge, that piece of knowledge, when it enters your buddhi, it will bring your mind to a peaceful, stable, loveful, pure state, not a disturbed or a judgmental state. That is not Gyan. So the Murli and Shiv Baba has always given us Gyan. So Baba tells us that there is no problem with the world around you, because everything is predestined the way it is. Yes. And whatever you are feeling is very, very correctable. So you don't have to suffer because of anybody else, because nobody is your problem. And you don't have to suffer because of your sanskar, because your sanskars are changeable. So only if you make a little effort in the right direction, which is you think of yourself as a soul, you accept other people, you accept the drama, and you keep connecting with Baba and be in his loving embrace to fill yourself with purity, love, peace, then you don't need to worry about anything, and on the contrary, you can radiate the right energy and help everything restore to its original state. So this is what the difference between Gyan and Agyan is. Yes. So Baba gives us Gyan, and that Gyan makes us pure, makes us peaceful. So when I told you about the 7 qualities of the soul, they are in order. So first is knowledge, then is purity, because when you take knowledge, then you can segregate your Agyan from Gyan. Yes. So I will tell you one thing, and please don't take me wrong in this, but once I met a psychologist, and this is not to say that all psychologists are that way or something, but that psychologist overanalyze defects like anything, like any defect in the personality, and he had a long list of how my mother is to blame for that, and my father is to blame for that, and how the social structure is to blame for that, and why this trauma came from where, and how this happened and that happened. And then I somehow felt that was not in sync with Gyan, and then I told him I wouldn't like to know more details about this. So he said, why? So I said, see, the basic thing is finding out why it happened doesn't solve the problem. If I keep blaming other people and situations for what happened to me or how I feel today, that will not solve the problem. But on the contrary, if I understand that it's not what they did to me, it's what I did to myself, taking what they did to me, which is the problem. So they told me something, somebody gave me a comment that you are not good enough. Okay, they said whatever was their opinion. But if I took it and I told myself 1000 times I'm not good enough, then that is the problem, and that created my self-image. So I would like to, or choose to think that way, and I would like to always feel that I am in charge of my thought process. I would not like to visit the story in such a manner that other people's behaviors are responsible for my trauma. So I do not know whether actually psychology does that or not, because it was only one encounter. But what I feel is that Baba gives you the truth, and the truth is everything has its seed in Agyan. And because we didn't know that we have the power of choice, so we did that to us. Now, because we did that to ourselves, we can correct it. And it is a very powerful thing to know that I told that story to myself, and I have the power to retell it to myself in a different way. So, when I came into Gyan, I never talked about forgetting or forgiving. I never used any of these tools. I just rewrote the script I had written in my mind. And instead of saying that this happened and this person did this to me, I just told myself, okay, I didn't know that I could interpret it differently. So I interpreted it that way. Now I reinterpreted that that person was just being himself, because that is what he is capable of. But I took that pain because I was not in my power. And this simple phenomena has helped me so much that I did not have to go through the corridors of forgiving and forgetting and doing this and doing that and clearing my conscience and clearing my chit, and all that I didn't have to do, because it is very, very simple. It is what you did to yourself under the influence of Agyan, and it is what you can unwind and rewind and rewrite and rescript under the influence of Gyan. So this is what Shiv Baba gives us. Shiv Baba gives us a very powerful tool of Gyan, and when we use this Gyan to realize who we are and we connect with Shiv Baba in all relations, then our heart, which is yearning for love, our conscience, which is yearning for honesty and truth, they all get satisfied, and then we go back to our Satyogi consciousness. So, this is something that I wanted to tell you about the process in which this Gyan gets given to us by Shiv Baba. And I will send you a video today which will help you consolidate the Gyan in some manner, and it's a comprehensive video. And also I will send you links to the Murli every day from now on. So at a time feasible for you, you can go through the Murli, you can listen to the Murli. And also every day at 7:30 we will take up some aspects of the Murli and revise, and we will do some more things about the course and this getting to know the Gyan in much more detail. Okay, so let's meditate for some time. Sit still. And gently pull your attention from everything that's going on in your mind and take it inwards. Slowly withdraw your attention from wherever it is plugged right now. And take it to yourself. I am a point of light. The soul sitting in the center of the forehead. I am just a point. A point stands for a full stop. And right now, I put a full stop to whatever is currently going on in my mind. I get in touch with my core feelings of peace and stillness. Everything else stops, and just this feeling of absolute stillness and peace stays. This is who I am, a peaceful soul. I am Om Shanti. I am a peaceful soul. I am a point And as and when I feel like I can just put a full stop to everything and come back to being a point. Let me sit in this feeling of absolute peace and stillness for some time.